Hi Frugalistas and Dumpsterinos, welcome to the video. This is a requested video. You speak, I answer. One of you asked for a garden update, so here it is on this lovely Sunday afternoon, a garden update. Be prepared to be amazed by how bad it all is. Not a great garden this year, but you asked. All right, I'll start here with my little potato field. You can see the problem right there. This was growing incredibly. These plants were thigh high. They had flowers. They were doing great. I thought, oh my Lord, I've found my calling. I am a potato farmer. Like, this is so amazing. And then the friggin' dogs just run through here all the time. It's right next to the little pond. And Liesel likes to go, oh, there's a fountain kind of thing anyway. She goes and splashes around in it. I obviously need some kind of fencing if I'm ever going to really try to grow things. I don't know why dogs don't just see potato plants and realize these are different. This is not grass. I am not allowed to trample these plants. Urgh. Over here, I have tomato plants. Some that I planted from seed and some that are volunteers. I also have a cucumber down there. And a lot of volunteer tomatoes up this way. More volunteer tomatoes here. I have some jalapeno peppers. I still have them in the seed trays. I need to plant them onward. I have one in a big pot. So this is just a mess. This is pathetic. It's so funny because I had so many volunteer tomatoes over here, like so many, growing out of that little blob of dirt on the bricks and from the dirt in between the bricks. And I was just going to let them grow and really not pay any attention to them at all. Just let them do their thing. I actually pulled them out a couple of days ago because it was such an incredible jungle in there. And, you know, tomatoes need a little bit of airflow, which they're probably not even getting enough of that. So I pulled the volunteers out because, like I said, they're just coming up from cracks between the bricks, though they were certainly healthy appearing, some of them kind of spindly, but anyway. So there's still some volunteers over here, but some of these I planted from seed, and I see very few flowers. I see maybe one. I see one flower that might become a tomato. I still have my hydrangea clipping, rooting farm going over here. I've done a couple more batches. These are doing so well, some of them. Like, this is from the first go around, and you can just like give it a little tug and you can feel that it's in there, rooted, and of course it's got a whole bunch of new growth. Not all of them. Oh, look at those. Those have new growth too. Those bright green leaves. Oh, baby. They're going to town. Not all. Oh, look at these. These are amazing. Oh, these are going to be so good to plant. Not all have lived. Some have died. Some, I think, in the second batch that I did. I had too far out in the sunlight, I think. This is, see, like that one doesn't look like it's going to work. I just did these a couple days ago, but like the other ones look pretty good. I don't know. I tried rooting a couple of snippings from my rose bush in here, and they died right away. So there you go. Look at that. That's new growth. I planted one. Oh, here's one I tried to do with a flower on it, just as an experiment, and that doesn't seem to be working well at all. This whole pot doesn't seem to be working well. I don't know. We'll see. I don't have any more covers, so they have to go uncovered. I need more soda bottles, I guess. But anyway, so that's that ongoing project. And I planted one. I planted the best one at the time a few weeks ago, and it was doing well. It had taken to the garden. Of course, the dogs ran over it and snapped it so that it was just a little piece of stem sticking out of the dirt. That's it right there. Little stem sticking out of dirt. But look, it's got new growth. See those tiny little leafy things that are trying to come out? So that tells me the roots. Oh, dog! Oh, God! Get back! See, I need to get fencing. There's nothing, none of this is going to work without fencing. Another menace, Dharma. So a couple days ago, I dug up this whole front patch, which was weeds, and planted a bunch of strawberries in here. And I do have a little fence in front of it, the only fencing I've got. And Dharma is still getting in there, but then she doesn't know how to get out. So she just goes back and forth, trampling all these strawberries that I planted. Some of them seem to have taken to their transplanting better than others. Her trampling them is less than helpful. They are doing their very exciting strawberry thing they do right now, which is shooting off all their little baby strawberry plants, which can each become a whole brand new strawberry plant. And at Home Depot this year, strawberries were selling for $6 per freaking plant. So those little babies are very valuable for expanding our farm. I'm hoping they will root. All right, so in case you don't know what I mean by the baby strawberries, here's the main strawberry plant that should not be that droopy. Then it shoots off a tendril, and then this little spot, that spot will drop roots. And then we just kind of put some dirt on it to help it stay under there. Then it shoots off another tendril, and we have another little plant starting. And now another one is coming off, and that might make a whole other plant. Once the plants, the baby plants are like good and rooted in there, then you cut all of your umbilical cords. Oh my Lord, how did you get in there? Apparently my fencing is not as impenetrable as I was hoping. You'd think they'd get the idea though. Ay, 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 ay. That's one of the dumpster begonias. I have to show you some of the begonias in impatiens that Frugal Daddy pulled out of the dumpster. Well, I'll show you. They've just taken off. Like that New Guinea impatient right there. Like that thing is huge. That's just one tiny little baby dumpster plant. And it's got all sorts of new growth trying to come out from inside. That was from the dumpster, begonia. That begonia and that poinsettia, those are dumpster plants. That's from last Christmas. These impatiens growing like crazy. I have some strawberries in this pot, you know, coming out the holes around the sides, but I'm going to just take them out of there and plant them in the ground because like this was full of dirt. And every time I water it, the dirt just flows out through the holes. I was kind of hoping the rooting system of the strawberries would hold the dirt in there, but it hasn't. And also being this sort of terracotta pot, it absorbs the water really quickly. So I have to water this like twice a day, and it's not working. Here is a new bicycle that Frugal Daddy found. It happens to be sitting in the front yard in somebody's trash. He found that curbside shopping. It is very reminiscent of the bike I had in 1972-ish. And we walk towards the front. This area is very troubled too. I plant a lot along this fence line. I planted a lot less this year than I did last year, but our dogs go up to the fence to talk to the neighbors' dogs who meet them on the other side of the fence. So they trample everything also. I have a few potato plants right there that are just left from last year because potatoes are a perennial. And if you leave potatoes in the ground, they're just going to grow again. And that's a little rogue tomato plant. There's no sense. I mean, I water them, but I'm not doing anything to help them stay alive because the dogs are just on top of them all the time. I really want this, ultimately, this whole strip to just be hydrangeas. But for the moment, this is one of the few spots I have for planting vegetables. Now, this tomato plant, this is one honkin' schmonkin' tomato plant. It's a volunteer. Look how huge its stem is. And then it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 branches, at least 8 coming off, making big new tomato plants, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to trim all those off early on, but I didn't. And again, this is my most prolific freaking tomato plant, this volunteer. I've already picked a bunch of tomatoes, and look at all these beautiful tomatoes. And all of this is this one tomato plant that I did not prune, and it has flowers. and it's happy. It gets a lot of sun here, and I do bring it a lot of water. But now, in the spring, along the fence line, I planted some sunflowers and some corn, and I didn't think any of the corn had sprouted, but this is corn. Yes, hello. And that's what happens. And this is corn, and I thought it was a giant weed, and I pulled it up, and then I realized, oh, that's corn. So I tried to replant it. Oh my God, get off, get off, get off. That's something I planted, and that is some kind of vegetable, and I don't remember what it is. It's either a squash or a melon, is my guess. Here's the one sunflower that came up. It's already being eaten. I was thinking about harvesting the seeds that have not been eaten yet, like down here, but I'm just going to leave it for the birds and the squirrels because, you know, they like it. I mean, the corn was really just sort of an experiment for fun. I don't expect to be actually harvesting a lot of ears of corn. I think I have about 4 plants, 4 or 5 that sprouted. It's the kind of corn used for popcorn. I thought that would be really fun during the zombie apocalypse, you know, to be able to grow our own popping corn. And then these are some tiger lilies that Frugal Daddy recently rescued from somewhere and put in. And then again, there's some more like volunteer potatoes from potatoes I didn't dig up. I put more squash / melon, whatever that plant is, over here. I put some of the babies over here. I don't see hide nor hair of them. There's like nothing left because they've just been demolished by the dogs. Like, I think this is corn growing here next to the tomato. Either that or it's like the biggest crabgrass weed I ever saw. Alrighty, now we are in the backyard, and I have some strawberries starting in this patch down there, which were babies from the strawberries over there. I have strawberries and blackberries in there. The blackberries didn't do all that well this year. I have some in there to harvest. But anyway, I have mostly tomatoes and cucumbers in here. That right there, that straight down is a dog. That's a volunteer potato. And I actually already harvested some potatoes. Again, just these are potatoes that I either actually planted last fall or just left in the ground last fall. Some I planted on purpose. I also planted cabbage in this patch last fall, and nothing really happened with it. And I had 3 huge cabbage plants come up this spring. And the first one I harvested, and ate, I was amazed. I don't think I've ever had fresh cabbage like that ever in my life. And the crunch was amazing. See here? Okay, so there's weirdness happening here. I have this one trellisy thing, and I have these poles that Frugal Daddy found in a dumpster. I don't have tomato stakes is kind of the point. So I set these poles up, and then I connected them with string so the tomatoes and cucumbers would be able to climb up on the string. I just wanted to get them off the ground because I planted my seedlings so late, and then I didn't have stakes, and they were just laying all over the ground and getting very viney, and it was a mess. So I came up with this weird system. And I did go to Home Depot the other day to just buy some tomato stakes because I thought, this is ridiculous. This isn't going to work too well. And they didn't have any. And they had tomato cages. Oh, why, dog? Why? Now, a couple of days ago, Neve harvested a great big cucumber off of that plant. None of these tomato plants seem to have any flowers. Oh, wait, they're flowers. Slap my mouth. There's some tomato flowers. So maybe that tomato plant will produce something. It seems awfully late. I mean, August already to not have tomato flowers. These cucumbers are doing pretty well. I'm pretty happy with them. There are some little, oh, the dog's pushing me in. There are some, see, look, there's a little baby cucumber starting. These are small cucumbers. These aren't the kind that grow really big and long. There's a few in here. Oops. There's one. There are a few in here that I think we could harvest today or maybe tomorrow. On my other cucumber plants that were in the pots where we started, I did harvest some cucumbers, but I let them, I didn't know they were there. And so they were on the vine way too long and they just became like tennis balls. They look like tennis balls, yellow and round. There's a good guy to pull. And this one too. Oh, those are beauties. I got to bring Neve out here. I'm trying to get the kids excited about gardening. There's another, oh, that could probably have a couple more days. I'm trying to get them excited about gardening, so I let them do the harvesting because the harvesting's the funnest part, but they're still not all that interested in doing the part that kind of is work. And then we have this little patch over here where I've started some strawberries. Here's one of my cabbages, and I know that looks really weird because all the big leaves at the bottom were eaten up by bugs. So I just cut them off kind of as an experiment to see what would happen. And there's my little cabbage growing. I could probably harvest that anytime. It's not too big, but it's going to taste good and fresh. More strawberries along here. Then there's this monkin' huge pumpkin. A year or two ago, I don't remember when. Did I have them last year? I can't remember. We had all these volunteer pumpkins. I mean, it was just incredible, all the pumpkin plants. And they all died, and I didn't get a single pumpkin harvested, which was really, really a bummer. This is one pumpkin plant from a pumpkin I tossed in to basically become compost for that hydrangea back there that's kind of struggling along. And one of the seeds sprouted. This is all one huge pumpkin plant, kind of. I'm trying to keep it from growing into this other patch where I have some of my other mystery squash or melons, or they're all kind of unhappy over here. They're pretty droopy and unhappy over here. I had a couple big kale plants going over here, but they have all these weird bugs on them, so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna pull them up. A couple more tomatoes here that need stakes. They probably don't get enough sun over here. They get some sun, like there's some sun on them now in the late afternoon, but I don't think they get enough. We'll see. I mean, I only have what I have to work with. These plants, that and that sad looking thing. What are these? Are these melons? Are these squash? I know I planted both squash and melons. I just forgot what was what. And these were in their seed trays also way too long. And that's a kale. And the kale I planted also last fall. I didn't plant any kale this year. Yeah, but none of these little plants enjoyed their transplanting experience. None of them are happy about it. Since I always seem to have trouble getting my garden going early enough in the spring, like not wanting to do it too early because it might be cold again, but then all of a sudden it's late. But I think what I'm going to do again is do a lot of the planting this fall. So in fact, I'm really, really early for next spring. Sneaky like a fox, I know. I mean, I don't think I'll put out, well, maybe I will. I was going to say, I don't think I'd put down tomato seeds, but why not? Like all those volunteer plants just grew up from little tomatoes that fell off the plants from last summer and left their seeds on the ground. And they seemed very happy. I think I'm just going to sow lots and lots of seeds and see what comes up in the spring when it's warm enough for nature to want to grow these plants. And I'll have to make a little map of what's what because I forget very quickly what I've done. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plant things in the fall. So be prepared for next spring to be amazed in a good way, in an exciting way, she planted all that last fall kind of way. We don't have very cold winters here in New Jersey anymore. We haven't had snow for a few years. It gets below freezing. I mean, we have a frost, but not much. So yeah, it's practically the deep south here. So there you go. There's my garden update. I know it's not impressive, but at least there are a few little cucumber plants. It's really sad. It's not my fault. It's the dogs. It's the dog's fault. I know. You're going to say, go buy some fencing. That's the only, I know. I don't, I don't like to spend money, but I have to go buy some fencing. It's the only way. I'll see you guys again in our next dumpster diving adventure video. Woo, woo. And until then, stay fantastic. Stay gorgeous. Stay you. You, because you're the only you, and you be you.